Yay! We are live. We are live. Hey, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We are live. Everybody, drop your city, drop your zodiac sign. The conversation topic is the beggar wound. Let's chat. So, this is my platform for breaking generational curses. This is my free ancestral energy healing school where I teach about ancestral energy healing because through my work, working with hundreds of clients, doing ancestor readings and energy healings, energy clearings, teaching and training them in their indigenous energy medicine, natural gifts. I work with gifted healers, high level healers, helping you refine your gifts. So, through my experience, I learned a lot of really cool stuff about ancestral healing that you don't really see talked about ever. And it makes sense why, when you start to get into it, because the structures of society depend on these certain paradigms. So, of course, they're not going to want you to fix them if you have the option to. That's why I say, like, when you're breaking out of a cult, like, you have, like, you, when you break out of a cult, it's okay. They have another cult for you to go into. So now you broke out of one cult, but you're in another cult. It's cults on cults, and it's so deep when you start to break it down. So, one of the things about sharing a message like this is that it's going to trigger people and it's going to instigate people's issues. And one of the things that I do when I open up space for these conversations is, like, I open up space for, like, literally, like, this guy, I don't know him, no one's watching live, you're talking alone. He wanted to join my chat and I said no, so now I'll block him. I'm fine with talking alone. All right, bye. It was like, literally, I'm live. I'm going live on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and literally that was the one person in here who was heckling me. Now here's more people. So it's so funny because whenever you do anything on the internet, you open yourself to public consumption. Like, you open yourself up to being received and being perceived, and that can be really weird. And one of the things going on with the internet right now that people don't really understand, a lot of people want to do content creation. There's a lot of people that are interested in, like, how do you make money online? How do I use the internet to make my money? So then we're also looking at trending crowdfunding, because people are in dire situations, so they're calling upon their networks for support. Aww. This is Star. That is so cute. So my dog's trying to play right now. All she wants to do is play. So I was just, like, spending the day. I was working earlier, and then I took a long bath. I'd be in the bathtub for like 7 hours at a time because I'm transforming. I'm cleansing. And so now my dog is all hyped because she's like, "Oh, you're up? Let's play." Not right now. Not right now. It is so hot in Louisiana. She doesn't really get to play much during the day because it's too freaking hot. I can't take her out. So I don't even know what to say. Yes. I love my pets. They're both girls. It's all girls up in here. And they're both tuxedos. So, as I was thinking about this topic today, because I knew that I wanted to go live, I'll tell you guys some announcements first, too. So, because I have some updates. Aw, she is so affectionate. She's just sweet. She's silly. She's fun. The dog and the cat play together. I took care of a tuxedo cat at my last place. He was so old. He was like the neighborhood cat. Sunshine girl. Yeah, she is so sweet. Somebody abandoned her. We adopted her. Girl. Sunshine, get out of here, mama. Got the Kong. So my whole thing today and this week with my work and with like everything I'm doing is just taking it slow, going easy, and making sure that I'm taking things at my pace, that I'm setting the pace, and that I'm listening to my body. Because we live in a society that goes at the pace of capitalism. And if you look right now, because you can see right now, there's like, excuse me? Excuse me? Oh, God. Sunshine, I know you're not doing this right now. Mommy is trying to be professional. I'm in the middle of training her to bark and not bark, and now she's like, oh, let me bark. Oh my God. Sunshine. Damn it. Why are you doing this? She needs attention, and she's not playing enough. Oh my God, no, Sunshine. Stop. Now you guys get to see how my dog runs me. Sunshine, chill, mama. Oh, come on. Come on, mommy. Sunshine, come. Sit. Come. Alright, Sunshine. Enough is enough. Sit. No, go outside. Come on. I don't even know what she needs. I think she's water. Here, come on. Alright, Sunshine. Alright, so yes. I'm back. Oh my God. But yes, that's so cute. She said she had her Son has a tuxedo kitty too. Yes. So I started teaching Sunshine how to bark on command because my ultimate goal is to teach her how to stop barking on command. But now what happens is she's auditioning for treats and just starts barking randomly at me and then starts jumping because she's so excited. So you guys, I'm trying to get into this topic. It's like so much. All right. And nobody's like, I wanted to go live at this time. You never know. So I basically just have to like, I just have to try. I just have to keep showing up. Because this shit is not really, it's not really easy to sift through the ancestral moment that we're in. But literally every issue in society can be traced back to ancestral healing. Everything that we're trying to do, whatever you're trying to do, you can do it through ancestral healing. Through knowing your ancestors. So this is another thing. I need to film this as a reading. But this is a message that was coming through that was basically like the different types of cult sacrifices. So basically, because what I've been getting into is like dismantling cults. What I realize that the clients that are like my soulmate clients that want to work with me the most are people that want to get free from cults. But the work is so challenging to do because we have all these protective instincts, and then there's all these different fragments that people can go into that to like cope, because like there's this concept of like survival, like being in survival mode, but it's not really about how much money you have. Like you could be in survival mode no matter how much money you have. Like this is what I'm noticing. It's basically an energy. It's like an energy current that like runs below the surface. Because it's not present. It's not related to the income, because it's scarcity consciousness or survival mode. So those are two different things too, because it's a consciousness of lack and scarcity, the belief in that there's not enough. This is the root of the evil eye. So basically, I've been doing intensive energy work on this all day. I do energy work. That's what I do professionally, and I read. I read the energies. I've always been sensitive to these things and tuned into them from a young age. And I come from a Palestinian lineage. So there's certain lineages that rely on like there's certain lineages that this is so hard to talk about. So just say there's certain lineages that rely on charity. So basically there's these concepts that this is like so messed up. This is why the one of the reasons why it's challenging to talk about it. A lot of people feel that it's like spiritual attacks from the outside, or like something like that makes it challenging to talk about these things. But what I find is that it's really coming from the inside. It's like these protective instincts and these like different parts that are like shutting down the communication around it. um Even for example, what I find a lot with working with spiritually gifted people is that people shut down their own gifts, usually in childhood, usually because their parent, specifically their mother, is trying to protect them and like will like punish them for using their gifts, or basically give an energy of making it seem like this is bad. And partially what it is that the mother is threatened by the child developing their gifts, but also the mother is trying to protect the child from being a target if it's demonstrated that they have these gifts. everything that you do sends out ripples in the airwaves, and it's felt. So one of the things that perpetuates a beggar consciousness is extreme trauma and stress. And within that stress, it causes rifts in the auric field that allow manipulation. It's basically like imagine there's like 5 holes in the aura, and like someone can just grab like their hand in there with through like 5 fingers, and then they're just like sifting through that person. So this is what's happening for with a lot of people that are experiencing mental illness. This is what's happening basically, like you're someone, it's an energy of you're being taken from, something is being taken from you. Usually people don't go crazy for no reason. There's a reason, and it's because something is being taken from you. Your energy is being siphoned from you in some type of way. Kitty. Hi. And so in that case, if you're going crazy, it's for you to protect it. And so one of the challenges that comes with my work, like when I have different things that I do, and one of the things that I decided to focus on, because I saw like the end goal, how beneficial this is breaking the generational curses that are associated with childhood sexual abuse, because I come from that. And it's not an isolated thing, it's ancestral, it's cultural, it's like so much written into the fabric of society. I have to recode my whole matrix of existence to not exist inside of it and perpetuate it, of things that I don't like. So this is a big wound. With the beggar wound, it's a money wound, but it's also a worth wound, a self-worth wound. This is a conversation that we're having, but it's also an actual group energy healing. So just so you guys know how I work, because I haven't been doing these type of things in a while, but I'm gonna bring them back. So if some of you guys remember when I used to do these group energy healings, drop in the chat. Let's talk about it. I used to go so hard, but I had to take a break because I burned out, and you can really burn out with your energy. So this is the thing with people that are experiencing the beggar archetype, beggar consciousness, or basically not having enough, needing help, needing others to help. Well, first of all, the only reason that exists as a consciousness is because that person is experiencing lack that is not, it's not natural to this person's true divinity, but it's a experience of lack based on generational curses associated with war that perpetuate childhood sexual abuse. Until we can make the link between childhood sexual abuse. Hey, hi, hi. Until we can make, okay, so let me go back to my thought. So we're talking about the beggar wound. This is coming up really strongly right now because for me personally, as a Palestinian, seeing everything play out, it was really, really hard at first because I knew that it would be used as a way to make money, a way for a lot of people to make a lot of money, Palestinian people, and that in a way that these things often like are planned to make money, and that people that are of our own people are also complicit in doing that, and they're collaborating in doing that so that they can get the check. And so I didn't feel connected with the cause at all, because I just spent the past year of my life remembering how I was molested in a trigger warning, you guys, but you actually already know that if you're talking to me and we're talking about this. But I was molested in a Palestinian organization. And when I break it down, if I sit down and break down my whole story to you, which I'm writing a book right now, you guys. I just relaunched my Patreon. So if you guys want to support me, that would be so great. That would really help, and I would love that so much. And then can share with you my book as I'm writing it. I feel it just like pouring out of me. I've been writing so much, but I haven't been editing. So I just gonna make this a place where I can like speak freely and share freely with a little bit of privacy from the rest of the internet. Hello, welcome, welcome. So I have a few people on Instagram. I'm going live on YouTube and Facebook anyways, just in case, but my engagement has not been the best. My engagement has been so non-existent on YouTube and of course on Facebook. It's been low on Instagram, but I truthfully didn't want to be seen for a while, and so I was just in hiding. Of these things, everything that's been going on has been so triggering, and I just got to the end of my rope. Watching from Bermuda, cool. Thank you. Welcome. What's up, y'all? Drop your city and your zodiac sign. Let's chat. So this is what we're talking about. There's different there's different generational wounds slash generational curses slash archetypes. And one thing that I noticed about the beggar wound is that it's present in people who have been like positioned as default caregivers. Taurus in Bermuda. Welcome. What's up? So, because if you look at how codependency is a biological adaptation, especially for women back in the day, if you think about how women would not survive if they weren't able, like if they, like women were taking care of people. If they weren't taking care of people, then where, like, what place would there be? You know, they needed some type of way to survive. So what I noticed is a lot of these things that are like people pleasing or like nervous system responses, these are ancestral healing issues, also because they come from specific ancestral experiences, and because of the nature of these type of things, people lie about where they come from and what's happened, because it's not good to look like a beggar. It's better if somebody is coming from poverty, it's better for them to conceal that and not be open about it. So the fact that what happens on the flip side is that it becomes sort of like a social currency of like who's more oppressed, and then people will go to poverty so that um they don't have to have anything to defend, especially if they know they can't defend it and they've repeatedly had their boundaries violated and they have not been able to hold on to anything for themselves. Can you read me after live? I can do a reading for you right now. Send Cash App. Cash App. Here, I'll put my Cash App on here. I can pull cards for you guys when I'm on live. Also, I have personal readings at the link in my bio. You get a recording. Here's my Cash App. And I accept tips. Thanks, everybody. It's $ root chakra goddess. Okay, if you want a private reading, then that's at my site. You can book there. Yep, I have personal readings available, you guys. You can book them at my site. So it's been so crazy with the spiritual community and the beggar wound. This is a conversation that really needs to be had because, for example, remember a couple years ago when scammers ruined the internet for spiritual businesses? They tried to anyways. Girl. So basically, what these scammers would do, and what they still do to people, is they like clone the page, and then they follow all the followers, and then they DM the followers, trying to sell readings. But it's not. But everybody's like, yeah, thank you, but it's not the reader; it's somebody scamming, and that's just like, well, I changed my username too much, so they can't do that to me. But we're in an age now where like people we're basically in like a Great Depression type of era, and what you saw back in the day is like people would travel, people would migrate. There was people there were like traveling circuses, people were selling psychic services, manifestation conversations were very popular. Conversations about manifestation were very popular. Like this wealth consciousness definitely has a market in times of poverty, like extreme poverty. And then, yeah, because the only way to book a reading with me is at the link in my bio. So, because like in these times where people are like, the thing is, like, it's like there's this word called grifter. I made a post about it. And so basically, you're right to be skeptical. Like, people should be skeptical and just make sure to vet whoever you're working with. And also just knowing that, like, it's like, like there's something weird where for some people, especially culturally, like people are more comfortable with the idea of a broke spiritualist than they are with a wealthy spiritualist. People would automatically assume that if a person is spiritual and wealthy, that they're doing something inherently bad or evil or wrong. But what's interesting on the flip side of that is that a lot of people who have the poverty wound and the beggar wound carry that belief system that people with money are evil and wrong because they were exploited and because they were abused by people that and with something related to do with money. Because if it's a person coming from a situation of poverty, then that means that their survival is compromised. So interestingly, though, there are certain things that happen across income stratification. Like it's like different cult dynamics and different early childhood experiences, especially within these cult dynamics, will still exist regardless of wealth status. Like sexual assault exists in any wealth bracket, childhood sex trafficking, and what can I say? I'm like these things exist within any income level. So it's just like the capacity and what it looks like is different. But if you look into studies show that whenever there's human rights abuses, there's always abuses of sexuality. There's always sexual abuse present. Whenever there's human trafficking, there's always sex trafficking. Like sex is a part of everything. So it's also how we got here is our ancestors. So who we are innately, like everything about us, our makeup, how we act, what we do, how we react to things, like how we feel, it is all like it's the soup of who we are. We've just been cooking in it, and we're not ever going to be able to be separated from our influences. And we shouldn't be. There's no reason to, no need to be. So within the what I've noticed within the ancestral healing consciousness is that people do not actually know who their ancestry is. One, with migration, forced migration, we look at humans as racially as different races when we're so much more than that. Like I feel like the conversation just gets so flat. We can't really see ourselves or each other. And so what we're relating to is basically like it's like so we're relating to like we're basically if you're relating to a person and you're relating from a fragmented consciousness, then maybe like one fragment of you is relating to one fragment of them. And it's sometimes it can be rare for us to be able to bring all of our different parts, like all of ourselves multidimensionally and meet others there. But we have to be willing to do that first. We have to be willing to bring all of ourselves multidimensionally. But the reason why a lot of people can't do this is because of survival, because certain things are not acceptable in certain places and spaces. So people learn to move and navigate, and then they also impose that on other people. And this is like the concept of respectability politics. And this is like one of the things for the collective that is holding people back is the respectability politics, the expectations of the parents and the previous generations weighing. So for professionalism, for example, like you may have chosen a way different profession than is sanctioned by your family, and it may be seen as haram or evil or really bad, whatever you're doing. There's like a rift in the self. It's like in the solar plexus. There's so much I want to say, but it's like not all of it's not coming through. This other stuff is coming through, is what's coming through. So I'm just gonna let it come out and rest assured that everything that needs to be said on this topic will be said today or another day. 'Cause, like, there's, like, a certain like, there's, like, blocks to, like, me getting this conversation out, and I've had a lot of fears with showing up, um, but one of the things that I wanted to speak on was the culture of mutual aid, using the internet for support, because we're in a time of crisis right now, and it's not getting any better. So, since 2020, people have been using GoFundMe's and using the internet mutual aid to raise money. One of the things that it's like I was saying earlier, like one of the things that happens is that like on the one hand, people get the help that they need. On the other hand, people exploit the situation and they throw others under the bus in order to do so. And they selectively listen and integrate what's convenient for them while not taking in the full picture. And people will do things that are conducive to their belonging in their cult, whether or not it's really actually helping, but they're getting belonging points. So they'll keep doing it. But then I felt very isolated and not belonging because I'm just not in the space to participate in any of it. And I don't feel good about the dogmatic expectations that people place on others when I think that it's like a trauma response and I'm living in the like generations later after my grandparents fled from Palestine in 1948. They went to Jordan with their families. They met in a refugee camp. They went to Lebanon. They had their kids. I still feel the feeling of fleeing, and I can never get it out of my bones. I've been chronically homeless. Even when I made money, I still have like I've literally been in situations where I had money to pay my rent and didn't pay my rent and got kicked out. What the fuck? Because what happens is you get programmed. So you make the decisions like you do it. You don't need anybody to do it to you. You do it to yourself. And it's a split within the psyche that has to do with the inner child and the inner demons, the shadow, this inner child not being able to protect themselves so thoroughly to the point that it's like literally like it's extreme sexual abuse. Hi, welcome. Hi, people. Who's in here? Let's see. Hi. So I felt called to go live. So I'm like, even if there's just one person in here talking with me, that's cool. And other people will drop in and then they'll watch it later. But I do believe the conspiracy that some platforms play with your views depending on what you talk about, and they're definitely plugged into the government. I'm just saying, we just all know that. But and then there's also, like I was saying earlier, it's like, yes, we have the opposition from the outside, but then we have the opposition from the inside too by doing things that, like, there's actions that set you up for success, and then there's actions that set you up for failure. And sometimes we're just going through the motions, and that is a big part of the beggar consciousness, is like just being able to go along to get along until the next day, using substances to take away the pain, to feel better, not feeling good enough, so not receiving better, and then being in a totally unprotected position. So, one of the reasons why in this archetype the person doesn't have enough is because they don't hold on to it for themselves. They give it, give it. Not and it's seen as it's coming from a place of altruism and being benevolent and caring for others, but then it's really betraying the fact that this person doesn't feel like they completely safe pouring into themselves. And this often happens for people that are coming from immigrant backgrounds where you're born into a better position than like everyone in your family just because of your citizenship or something like that, something of your status that makes it so that as soon as you're born you have like grown-ups that are like feeling some type of way about your privilege that you have that they don't have. So everybody doesn't get that nurturing environment. Some people are the nurturers because they're born into an environment that lacks nurturing, and children are naturally empathetic and nurturing, among other things. So another thing too is that everybody's selling something. Everybody's selling something. And in the case of the beggar wound, they're selling a story. So that's why, like, if you're outside and like somebody comes up to you, they don't just ask you for money. They don't just say like, "Can I have $5?" They have a strategy. They tell you a story that they need the money for something. They need it for the bus. They only need a small amount of money, like 50 cents or something, or 10 cents, something ridiculous. So the strategy is I'm only going to ask for a little, so then they're going to bless me with more. I'm going to tell them exactly what I need it for, and it's for a good reason, so then they're going to agree. And then also the strategy is that these people have more than me, so they'll give it to me. So underneath that is the implicit they owe me. And this is where the evil eye comes into play. And this is where it's that perception of looking at people with more wealth as though they are evil or they're doing something bad or they're doing something wrong, and then the individual not being able to get more wealth because they don't want to be like that. They don't want to be this evil person that hurts people. But then what is not really looked at, the side of the beggar wound that's not really looked at and talked about, is like that this energy can exist like at any income level. So, for example, I saw something earlier today where somebody was like urging their followers to donate to a charity. And I was thinking, this is, for most people, they would see this and they would think, oh, this is nice. They're raising money for a charity. But for me, I think this is cult consciousness. And this is how this cult makes a living, is through charity. So the thing about it is it necessitates ongoing tragedy, because even if there's not a tragedy occurring, the nervous system is acclimated to tragedy and can actually affect the quantum field in such as to create it, because that is what it's acclimated for. Hi. So this is part of manifestation. Breaking generational curses is part of manifestation. And because the thing is, no matter what you do, whether it's manifestation or traditional religions, um, like the issues that come from these generational curses are not going to get fixed in regular ceremonies. They block a lot of magic, and then there's a lot of magic that people do that they don't realize that it doesn't actually matter, that was going to happen anyways. Sometimes people are riding the waves of the quantum field and it feels so real that it feels that it's there, that it's like, okay, I'm causing this. But sometimes that's not true, or sometimes like we're just existing in this. The quantum field is what you interact with. in life, in reality. And you surround yourself, like whatever you see outside, whatever you're surrounding yourself with, that's your quantum field. And so when you start to have things come in like angel numbers and like animal symbolism, natural motifs like feathers, certain names, certain people popping up, that's why you raise your vibration, is to influence your quantum fields. The consciousness of the beggar. So this is the thing, is there's part of the consciousness of the beggar is like super beneficial for self-worth, which is that I'm worthy to ask for what I need. So the lines get blurred when it comes to certain things. Like, for example, some people look at sex work as begging. They look at it as like, they look at, there's so much dialogue in the current like consciousness right now that has to do with like women gold digging and like expectations of women dating. um and it's definitely absolutely this part of the beggar wound, is that like, why would I like, it's an accumulation of trauma that has occurred from a lifetime of overgiving, starting in childhood, being molested. It's a lifetime of sexual exploitation, that to where now women are fed up, but it's blowing back on the only people that could save us from it. Men. And even within um populations of people that are queer, or that are like, that have gone towards alternative lifestyles, there's almost like a privilege of poverty, that's like, whoever's worse off gets the best treatment. But it's not like that in most places. It's the opposite. Whoever's worse off gets the worst treatment. So people need people to be in poverty. They need people to give money to. Like, they need people to be begging, so that then they can feel whatever, like that they can feel worthy by having something. My shirt. So they can feel worthy by having something. There's like a massive breakdown in how people base their worth, and not basing it on wealth, but basing it on something deeper, but still also allowing ease. Like, why should you have to struggle on the planet you were born on? That makes no sense. It doesn't even sound right. We've really forgotten who we are. So, humanity as a whole, because for a majority of us, we came here to restore humanity's glory. And we do this through our actions with one another. there's a lot of propaganda that has to do with being meek and turning the other cheek and being loving with others, loving your enemies. And there's a very real split between those who choose to do this and those who don't. I'm not going to say which pathway is right. Like, it's gotten so bad in this world that you can't have a simple conversation. And even just to express myself, like, I've been on the internet the whole time, you guys. I've been on the internet the whole time. The internet has been the internet. It used to be different. Yeah, I don't know. You used to be able to talk about stuff. It wasn't so much random stuff in your face all the time. Everything's so corporate now. People really have to seek you out. But that's the thing, is that like people will seek you out. So here's another thing too that I wanted to talk about with the beggar wound is when you're doing work, this is a entrepreneur wound that a lot of people have, is it's not begging to sell your services. So a lot of people cannot get past that. They feel like if this is a hard thing for people to go from working for somebody else to working for themselves, is because they have to consistently sell, and ask for money. And then it's like it's personal because it's like, it's me you're investing in. When I first started my business, I did not know how to make money. That's how you make money, is you sell. You create something worth buying, and then you sell it, and you sell it all day, every day. So before I go, I'll tell you guys about what I'm selling. I meant to give some updates at the beginning. Hi from England, Peaceful Warrior, nice name. So before I go, I'll give some updates. Thanks for tuning in with me, you guys. So basically, like shifting myself completely. Like there's a huge change that I'm going through right now. I'm not the same person. I'm widening my audience after contracting. So I used to run a page called hoesarehealers on Instagram that had 16K followers when it got deleted. And I grew my page to 16K. That's 16,000 people. It's not that many people, really. It's really not that many people when you think about it, but it's crazy because that's a lot of people. Like, that's more people than I could like meet in like, I don't know how long it would take me to meet 16,000 people. But I'm a social person. I've always been a really social person. But I also like always, I'm not a meek person, but I've been chronically bullied my entire life. Oh my god. I was bullied until I became the bully. Because the thing about it, this is how you go from being the beggar. For anybody that wants to know, I'm not an expert on making money or anything. I haven't made that much money, but in my business, but I'm happy with what I have. I'm happy with what I have. I'm happy with what I have made. So, there's plenty of people that can teach you how to like make 50K and all these, like, it's actually crazy how much, if a person makes 50K a year, that's actually like huge. That's actually freaking huge. But when you're running a business and you're scaling a business, that's nothing. That is nothing. It doesn't last at all. So you have to like, you have to get a reality get into reality and understand how far things really go before you overextend yourself. Because part of the beggar wound is feeling like nothing is ever good enough and constantly overgiving more and more, feeling like you need your clients to survive. This is how the beggar wound manifests in entrepreneurship, in case anybody's curious. Like feeling like you need your clients, like feeling like you won't survive without them. Like it's an unhealthy attachment. You need to have detachment with this work, which is like pretty challenging when if a person's I feel like we don't really look at how these things manifest. Like they'll think, okay, that person's just a hard worker. They just have a lot of ambition. They're just showing up. No, that person is scared that they're not going to survive. We think like, oh, this person has great customer service or great people skills or whatever. Or this person is such a kind person. They show up for others so much. No, this person is scared that they're going to be abandoned. When I started healing my nervous system and healing my attachment with myself, feeling more secure with myself, even though I have a long way to go still. It changed my business completely. First of all, I had been overgiving so much. I had been crowdfunding a lot. I would fundraise for, I was like on the nonprofit track basically. It was like my business was a business, but I would do a lot of nonprofit things, mutual aid things. I was basically like, because I come from being a community organizer and I've always had that attitude. But that's one way that they get you when you come from a refugee background, a generational refugee background, is because that's part of your cult. That's part of your cult consciousness is that you'll make your best survival via charity, and then that's where the exploitation happens. And then because of that poverty consciousness and that beggar wound, then it's easy for parents to sell out their children in many different ways and sell out themselves without keeping that strong backbone that the family needs to thrive. And this is why this is the ancestral healing. This is why that it doesn't matter to them if they don't have to annihilate everyone, because what the damage that's done to the survivors, most most won't survive more than a few generations. So this is how entire people can be wiped out within less than 7 generations. So I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna close it here. But if you guys have any questions, ask me anything. Oh, I'm running out of time on Instagram, but I'll keep going on YouTube and Facebook since they're not gonna kick me off. Haha. Oh, come on, follow me over there, you guys. I'll see you there. I have more time. I have more space. So I'm on Facebook and YouTube, chatting with you guys. I have 2 people with me on YouTube. Hey, say hi if you're here. And I'll be saying bye on Instagram soon because I still want to tell you guys about my offers and my updates. So follow me from Instagram to Facebook and YouTube if you want to see those. Shop my site for more. So one thing about what I've learned with the caste system and the cults is that people are groomed for certain careers. They're groomed for certain jobs. And they're groomed to be able to be a mouthpiece for the cults for other organizations. So for example, like if there's like hypothetically, like it would behoove an entity like the US government to groom potential speakers of different ethnicities to be able to cultivate a following and then communicate certain agendas to them. Okay. I think we understand this, right? The Beggar wound. Oh, I can share it to Facebook too? Huh. Okay. Cool. So yes, you guys. I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, right? Okay. But the thing is, all this stuff happens unconsciously. People don't know that it's happening. It's like, so this is one of the things that's going on right now is the shift that's occurring. We need each other's reflections to understand this so bad. Like the way we need other people right now is just like unprecedented. And the isolation levels are unprecedented. And so this is one of the things that's keeping people isolated is that beggar wound. Feeling like a beggar if you need anything from anyone. And feeling ashamed to need, feeling ashamed to ask. And the thing about the beggar wound is that it's a self-worth wound. It feels that it's not worthy. It feels that it has nothing else to offer besides positioning itself as a lowly status. Caregiving is humble. There's a lot of humility that goes into caring for other people. So it's already a lowly status, but it's a high status because it's a high value. Coupled with childhood sexual abuse, the person learns it's not safe to receive and that their only worth is to provide care for other people. So that means that the person can't receive. So it doesn't really matter how much value that they can provide for somebody else. It's not felt within the self. This is why I had to I had to like become mean. I'm not like a mean person, but I'm not like a nice person either. That's the thing is like, are you really nice or are you scared? Do you not feel safe? The only way you can feel safe is through the cultivation of community. But if you've been shaped a certain way, then sometimes the community doesn't feel safe or supportive. Or if you've experienced bullying or if you've experienced canceling, then the community doesn't feel safe and feel supported, but you still have to go there to get your needs met, and that can feel even more unsafe and more threatening. So a lot of people that I work with are dealing with the accumulation of trauma in the nervous system. It needs to be released. It needs to be let out. It needs to be let go. And it happens through co-regulating with others, among other things. So one of the things I realize is like with coaching you guys to look at cult consciousness and to help you get free from your own cult consciousness, it's not something I can do because it's way too threatening to the protective parts. So this is why like actually I raised the price of my coaching container where I help break generational curses because I raised it so high because honestly there's no way I can do it for any less. But I knew as soon as I began offering this, when I channeled this offering 2 years ago, I knew that this was going to be the price. And at the time, everything in my life changed completely. When I announced that I was going to be doing a service that costs 40K, all hell broke loose around me because I was heavily in this cult of beggar consciousness that it's like people have to be part of this cult by either being a beggar themselves or being a provider of charity. And if they're ashamed of being a beggar then and or they don't want to be that anymore, they start to like change, then one of the hallmarks of that journey is wanting to provide some type of sustenance for other people to get them through that hard time. But that person themselves is not through that hard time yet. but they instinctively know that they'll get more support by providing that support to other people than they can have available for just them having the support that they need. Because unconsciously, people associate, if they're just asking for support, they're associating that more so with begging, versus if they're saying that they want to help other people, then they're associating that with philanthropy. This is the mind game that they play with people who go into the field of nonprofit and social activism, and why it's so appealing to generational refugees and immigrants and people that come from poverty, but it's not a sustainable pathway to financial stability. So everyone wants to know like how to make money, how to survive, and how to exist in a good way that's peaceful, that doesn't hurt anybody. There's always going to be somebody that's fucking hurt. Did you hurt them or did they hurt themselves? We'll find out. So, what I developed to help people go through this journey is like a container. It's called Root Lock. It's a program. It's so cool because so if anybody wants to do coaching with me one on one, you'll want to definitely need to go through Root Lock also. I structured it so that the coaching one on one coexists with the course, and it's a 6-month thing. So I'm gonna run it once a year if I run it at all. I'm running it this year, so get in where you fit in. You don't want to miss this. And this is like better than college because it's going to show you exactly how to create your life and how to go from phase to phase of evolution, how to examine your influences. Like, I have protocols and techniques and rituals designed to get you so deep in there because the thing about it is, I can't take you in there. You have to take yourself. Because if I take you in there, like it could be dangerous potentially. You don't know what type of protections. If you come, especially if you're coming from something really serious when it comes to these like cult dynamics. I bet you guys didn't know this was gonna get into this. Maybe you already did, but you don't. We don't know what's protecting what you know, because I work with people that are high level spiritually gifted, whether you know it or not, whether you like are in full possession of these gifts or not. So I can't just go in there. So that's why I do have one-on-ones available. I have one-on-one initiations, Isis Reiki initiations. There are 3 initiations over 3 days. I changed the way that I was doing this. I was doing them a month apart over 3 months. So I bended time and made it, took 3 months and turned it into 3 days. And this is an intensive, and we go deep, 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 deep energy work. You have to experience this to really believe it. I need to like get my testimonials out, but like the stuff that's gone on in these initiations has been so next level. And I was watching my video that's called The Key to Activating Dark Feminine Energy, and I was talking with one of my clients about her personal power transformation. And there's another video I have where I'm talking to one of my clients, but she in her initiations with me, it was so cool because we were not speaking. We were both on our own journeys, and then we came back together and checked in, and we had been seeing the same things. We had been on parallel journeys. Like we had been occupying the same astral space, which is that's what we were doing. But the cool thing about it was how vivid it was for her too. So because what happens when you work with a mentor is you've very, very quickly expand. This is what happens for me when I work with my mentors. You very, very, very quickly expand because you're in that frequency with that person. So if you know a person that you like their vibe, you feel good with them, you're on a frequency together that feels good. Maybe that's your mentor. Get a mentor. Let yourself have support. Let yourself have support. Like, I don't know, just a thought. Because I think that everybody's like, right now, people are like, oh yeah, I'm spiritual. It's like I'm still figuring out how to make this a pain point, or how to like put this out there so people will understand what I'm offering. Like, you potentially could be like just dealing with a lot of things that are unwanted that you don't have to be dealing with because of cult allegiances that can be seen through and examined when there's the space, the support, the structure, and the reflection. So a lot of my content that I was creating before was really, really polarizing. I was like throwing stuff out to be really harsh to make people choose whether they would stay or whether they would turn away. And it was something like, feeling like I don't want to have to be that polished Palestinian princess. I want to be able to show up, and I want to really see what your biases are, you know? Can we be real about this? Like, what do you actually see when you see somebody that looks like me? Because there's like so much stuff that I've heard. So these perceptions of others can play into your self-concept, and they can keep you from being visible, from showing up. And then especially if there's certain things that you deal with repeatedly, like being Palestinian in the workplace, so in the social environment. Yeah. But never being able to like speak on it without people going fucking psycho. And then the fact that that's not even acceptable in the culture to begin with, like, all right, I'm gonna stop complaining about it. But I got thrown off because I know I'm like, am I just in here talking to myself? Is anybody listening? Does anybody care? But I feel like this is where it starts. I'm not begging for attention. I'm just showing up. Like, I think that that's a common misconception is people feel like they're begging for attention when they're just showing up. Like, you have just as much right to be here as anybody else. Who told you that attention was scarce? There's plenty of attention to be paid. It's just whether or not people want to pay attention or not. Whether or not what you're doing or saying or being is interesting enough to them. And the fear that comes through the beggar wound keeps people from being visible. If they are visible, they're not their authentic self. They're like a shell of themselves or a representative. And if you want more wholeness and more depth, you have to show up with more wholeness and more depth. If you're trying to micromanage the situation in order to get everything that you want out of it without having to risk anything, it's not going to work. So I don't know who did hear that. Oh yeah, and I have cards pulled. So what kept coming up was the Five of Cups. And what I pulled earlier, the Five of Cups, the Ace of Swords, the High Priestess, and the Six of Wands, and the Six of Cups. So romantically speaking, it's a reunion because you can't break up with yourself. It's hard to look at it. Like, it's really hard to look at it that someone can actually love you, that you don't have to beg for love. You made enough space, because it's hard to make that much space. You made enough space for the love to come in, the authentic, genuine love that feels really good to your soul, that you don't have to compromise for. And you've been being yourself and being true to this new phase of your evolution. This is a message for somebody that's transcending the beggar curse. You will not have to ask for help for very much longer. Within 2 months, your entire situation is going to be completely changed. The next 2 months, you're required to show up. You're required to show up if you want the rewards. You have to risk it all. And that's what you're doing right now. You're in the thick of it. You're building that muscle, that risk it all muscle. Nice. Good one, baddie. Keep going. The risk it all muscle. I like it. I like it. That is so cute. Okay. So, like, for example, you just have to follow your calling and you don't know why. You don't have to know why. It's none of your fucking business. Just show up when you're called. What I'm trying to manifest a lump sum of money. And I'm like, where is this going to come from? It's going to come from out of the thin air. But the reality is, it could come from anywhere. I have offers. It's just making the specific offer to the specific person, aligning where we are meant to go together. And it's not a scarcity consciousness or a survival mentality, but it's the reality that we do need each other to survive and we help each other to survive. And I said this in my email earlier to my list that, like, I do feel like survival is what brings me together with my clients and with my audience in general, is because and what's changed about it is because I used to have a much larger audience and make much less money. And now I have a much smaller audience and make much more money. And part of this is because of that, my survival muscle changed. My relationship to codependency and interdependency changed. And my healing of this wound, of the beggar wound, is that I show up with more to offer. I overgive less, although that's been a process. I've had to stop myself from overgiving over time. And then I set myself up for success, and I don't punish myself or put myself to standards that I can't meet. And then I'm able to keep doing it. And I keep going, and I keep doing it, and I keep showing up for it, and I keep, if I stay as consistent as possible, if I fall off, then I get back on. I'm not just going through the motions, I'm really in it. I'm not just doing it for the money, I'm doing it for the love. There's a lot of things I could be doing for the money. I have a destiny, I have a purpose. This is one of the reasons why people conceal their income, is because if people know that you have lack, that you have financial lack, they look at you differently. Even if you're a fucking multimillionaire, like, if you look at Kanye West, like, part of the reason why people started hating him so much was not just all the stuff he was saying, it's also because he lost a lot of wealth. He lost wealth and he lost reputation. But the reason why they hated what he was saying so much was because it was attacking their cult allegiances. And whenever you say something that attacks people's cult allegiances, like, you have to give them an alternative cult. This is so funny because I had a disgruntled ex-student accuse me of running a cult and saying that my business is a cult, which is what they always say about spiritual businesses and movements. My business is a movement. It's not a cult. It's actually a movement. And if I didn't create a cult for my members to be part of, that would be too destabilizing in the aftermath of them leaving whatever cult they're escaping from. And the success, the long term longevity success of my membership and the people I work with has to do with how much they show up for community. Because you could show up one on one with me. That is a breeding grounds for more. It's a breeding grounds for more abuse one on one. I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, I love group spaces. I love one on ones too with certain people. Here's another part of the beggar wound. You get to choose who you work with. You don't have to just work with anyone just because they're paying you. You get to have safety in your business. People don't get to cross your boundaries just because they're paying you. You don't have to let people cross your boundaries just so you can make a living. I know for a lot of us, we don't actually believe this. This is not reality, right? We're going to shift into that reality together. Stick with me. I got you. Now it's time for me to go quantum leap. I'm off to bed. I will see you all on the flip side. Drop a comment. Let me know that you watched this. Let me know if it resonated. Shop my site if you have questions about what I have to offer, or DM me or email me so that I can answer any questions that you have. If you guys go to my site, you can join my email list, and I share a lot more in depth than I do on social media. I'm also happy to answer any questions. This was kind of like an impromptu live stream, but a lot of times I just need to do these to work through the energy vocally and also energetically. So this is not only a conversation, but it was also energy healing. So drink water, get rest. I'm going to be fasting for the next couple of days. This is a Muslim holiday called Ashura. It's when miracles are to be expected and quite likely. So ask for what you want, even if you don't believe that you can have it, and let the universe do its thing. I'll catch y'all on the other side. Peace. Masalama.